Hello and welcome. The issue today is politics without deals. Now, they occupied the Flagstaff House loan. Now they are asking you to change your color on Fridays. Now, who are we talking about? We are talking about Ghana's middle-income earners. Now, these are the few privileged guys or women in society who have the air-conditioned cars and generators, and they have come out to demonstrate against the conditions that you and I live in. Now, I say to them, welcome home, and somebody says, why? Well, they might be here in spirit and body, but somehow they've checked out. Why? The lights goes off, their generator is on. The roads are bad, they have their four-wheel drives. They have their good bank balances, they don't care about the dollars. So then you ask, why don't they continue to be quote-unquote selfish and enjoy themselves? Why have they decided to now come out on the street and also jump up and down like you and I? Some say, oh no, they are all MPP supporters and that's why they see something wrong with the system. Is that true? Well, with me is Ebo Sam, and we're going to have a discussion. What is Red Friday going to be like? And should you and I join? Or should we sit back, fold our arms, and just point a finger and say, these are just members on the position? It's going to be an interesting discussion. My name is Nana Sakwa, and this is PM Express. Politics without deals. And first of all, I want to really find out, is it really possible to see anything wrong in the government at any given time without being in your position? I mean, can your lights go off and you don't realize it unless you are in your position? Could your currency drop, and for one reason, if you're not in a position, you don't realize that your currency is falling, and therefore you dare not comment, because if you do, then again you are in your position. What is the real truth, and how do we fight for our nation? With me is Ebo Sam, who is the organizer of hashtag Occupy the Flagstaff House loan. You're welcome, my brother.
Good evening.
Good evening. Now, first of all, I just want to go back a bit before I come to Red Friday. What informed the first demonstration on 1st July, and particularly the caliber of people, educated, employed, and there's not your usual, Occupy the Flagstaff loan. So what informed it?
First of all, I would like to say good evening to your cherished listeners. And I would also like to say that the convener actually for that demonstration was a lawyer by profession who practiced in Ghana and under the laws of our country, assisted by some of us who really helped work out this demonstration. It is a demonstration that was purported to be a very, sober, violence-free demonstration, just to go to the Flagstaff House, to sit there, and for the government and John Mahama-led administration to know that not all is well in the economy. We did that because we thought that the president is naked, because a lot of things are going on in the country, which we see no improvement as the day grow old. And we think that, yes, for where he is sitting, maybe his appointees around him are not telling him the truth. For that matter, his attention must be drawn to these issues that, call for, concern in our country by other people outside the lenses that he is looking into things. That's why we organize this demonstration to be there. But at the end of the day, the police, with their own security reasons, managed to get us to be at the Children's Park, Afua Sutherland's Children's Park, where we started our demonstration. We motivated our members, civil society members, ordinary Ghanaians, middle-class professionals, who some of them are lawyers, doctors, engineers, professional corporate body members, who I think left their home, their comfort home at that rainy day to come and join hands. They have all identified a lot of problems that this country is exposed to, and the inability for government to act so that we would get our liberty as citizens. That is how come we managed to put up this demonstration.
For the purposes of this conversation, I want to term the caliber of people as middle class. Just for this, whether they are or not, let me just term it that. Has the middle class in Ghana been selfish? I mean, this is 2014, and democracy started 20 years ago. We've had myriads of challenges, and this is the first time they've come. They say better late than never, but I mean, has the middle class been selfish, where they think, well, I'm okay, so why not?
Thank you, Nana. Whoever is in the country, I believe even the appointees of government are really feeling the toils of how the economy has been. Look, you go to Abossey-Okai, you buy shocks today. By the time you drive to your house, the shock is spoiled. You go the next morning to get that same shock, and the price has escalated to unimaginable, price that you cannot think about. Erratic power supply, non-portable. We are all affiliated in Ghana. Our culture is in groups of families. Though you are in Accra, you are doing your work, you are sitting here in multi-TV office, but you have lineages in the villages and whatsoever. Every day you have to part money to them for them to be able to go to hospital because they are not getting potable water to take. These are major, simple, basic amenities that as a country where we have grown to, we must get them. And we are not getting them. Businesses are going down. There are a lot of, retrenchment in the country as we speak today. And we think that people must stand up, speak against the system for the right thing to be done.
I think the discerning citizen would back you. But before I even move and rally support for you, I just want to find out that I'll get an answer from me. Has the middle class been very selfish up until now? Where well, I'm okay, I have my law firm, or I have my bank, or I own this, so I don't care. Have they been selfish?
We are not selfish at all. The reason is that, look, every concerned citizen must realize that in the last 5 years, though our economy has been in ups and downs and all that, in the last 5 years till now, there has been harsh, economic, measures and situations in our country where everything seems not to be working. Everything seems not to be working. One of our major, concerns why we have to go on this demonstration is that we believe that there are a lot of government appointees in this Mahama-led government that are not performing. And we believe that it's because of their non-performance. That is why some of this retroversal attitude economy is coming up. If you realize there was this Imani Ghana brought forth this Kalebule, they stated that the country is going back to the 70s, the late 70s, where Kalebule was, in force. Everything in this country seems to be pointing out to that direction. I remember that until recently, when there was this petrol shortage, people were hauling any tema where I managed to get a gallon of fuel. I bought 35 cedis to be enable me for me to get just a gallon to put into my car to go home. This is the trend in which this country is going into. Inefficiencies of our tax collection system. Today we are going for loan to buy all sort of things to help improve secondary education. We have inefficient tax collection, revenue collection in our system. We have a lot of corruption. If I have to give you data from the Auditor's General Report on how debt vendors were paid, misembezzlement of money in the Auditor's General Report, you'll be amazed. And we believe that these potholes must be plugged in so that we can raise revenue. We must get government must have the ability to be able to fight against corruption.
Well, to be fair, I mean, with the government appointees who are not functioning well. Would you be bold enough to help the president to say, listen, Minister A at this ministry, this is his track record, he's wasting your time, kick him out?
For example, I won't take you far for the sake of our listeners so that they can remember very well. The president himself acknowledged that going to Brazil for this World Cup wasn't well managed. So he has instituted a 3-member committee as we speak now, which Moses Afweni is one of them. And a justice, a lawyer is one of them who happens to be a justice person. And if the government has realized that there was inefficiency, so that you have changed off before the minister, a free Ankara, could even come into the country, you have changed him. Why then, if the person is not performing, why then you take him back to the presidency as a minister of state? Look, if the deputy minister here, Yamin, who happens to be my friend, was to keep quiet at that time, this money would have gone to Brazil and come back. Nothing would have happened. But mismanagement of information, inefficiency in managing his portfolio as a minister, exposed the country. We were ridiculed before the international press. And when we were doing demonstration, BBC interviewed me, Al Jazeera interviewed me, CCTV interviewed me. In the last interview that I granted, CCTV, we are talking about demonstration. The journalist quelled round to push me into that light where Ghana has radicalized itself in the international scene. These are all matters that need to be addressed. And the president was supposed to categorically state that, look, this mess that you brought upon my government and the country, we cannot work with you. But what do we see? Yamin has been taken to Ashanti region to occupy the deputy minister at that position. There are a lot. Go to the ministries. The Ministry of Finance, Auditors General Report 2011. 2011, there was a misembezzlement of funds from the Ministry of Finance to the tune of 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. The president is watching on. There are a whole lot of troubles. We couldn't look. Statutory payment have not gone on, and I speak to my friend MPs. Those new MPs who are there now has not gotten their common fund, not even a single person of it. And these people are now being sabotaged by their competitors. That look, these people came and they have done nothing. The reality is that they don't have the common fund to work with it. There are a lot of things that's going on. Potter, when I was driving to your studios, I heard the nurses, student nurses, agitating. This is the country we find ourselves in. Strike everywhere, strike everywhere. This nation, we were even graded B, downwards. We were B+, now we are in B. What economy are we going at? So the middle class is not selfish at all. Everybody is feeling it, even to the extent that the president himself, I believe, is feeling that or realizing that things are not going on well.
In your first petition, you had literally 8 recommendations for the president.
Yes.
The state in which the country is, and realistically we couldn't do it. Would you have narrowed it down to 3 key points? Let's say, look, education, health, and agri, or maybe corruption, education, some 3 things. As listen, forget about the rest. Focus on these things and just do your bit and get out. Because if you give him 8, then he's just going to say, yeah, thank you very much.
Well, if you ask me to put something down now, I would say, first of all, our economy must be broadened. We have to open our economy. Our road network, very bad. Our energy system, companies are collapsing, very bad. Corruption is one of the key things that, because if you look at the judgment that was paid, in 2011, about 400 in 2011, judgment debt alone that was paid is $447 million. In 2010, the judgment debt that was paid alone is $720 million. And what I was telling you about the 2011 Auditors General Report, misembezzlement in the Ministry of Finance alone is 1.3 billion Ghana cedis. The presidency itself in 2012 exceeded the target that was supposed to work within, about 8.7 billion. These are the issues that we are talking about. Do you know that the oil sector, now that we are facing problems with the oil sector, there is a document that states that $540 million was supposed to be used and was used for capacity building. What have we seen in the oil sector? Has there been an improvement? Even their rent, $63,000. And now there are a lot of brouhaha on that particular thing. It is now that the minister is saying that he's going to look into and he doesn't side with them and all that. Is it mismanagement or something? That minister, the energy minister, staying there for this thing to happen before you come out to the public to say something, you need to be fired.
So then you don't realize that. I mean, if you have all these valid points, why then would somebody, the minister for Betty Mould, thought, no, this must be MPP.
Not Betty Mould, Hannah Tete.
Hannah Tete, I beg your pardon. Hannah Tete thought, this is a MPP agitation and that it wouldn't get anywhere. Why would somebody?
You see, it is the propaganda antics of the NDC that they always want to use numbers to, to see the success or a failure of a demonstration. Mm-hmm. One thing that the Hannah Tete and her peers are forgetting is that this particular demonstration was organized through the social media. Okay? Mm-hmm. We use the social media, a modern way of organizing things, to do. So the response before pouring out on the street was even enormous. And I want to say that that day the weather was even bad. But whether the weather was bad or not bad, the number of people who came or not, we have linkages. People are siding with us. People cannot come out. If you saw that day, the number of policemen that was poured on the street for, citizens without, harmless citizens going out to pour their anger out, tear gas, boulevards, hot water cans, trucks, and all, as if there was some kind of crime that was being committed. So whether Hannah Tete could sit down and mock herself that people didn't attend, but you should know that this demonstration was organized on a technological basis.
So let's do the technology. Is it the new way forward now, the social media, to get people together? Is that the new way forward?
Did you recognize our bad incident that happened in the country yesterday when our dear cherished musician Titi Tego is purported to be drawn by water? Mm-hmm. Social media, in a jiffy, my sister in UK called me, said, what is happening? I've left my phone there for a very long time. I have not gone on the social media. And then my sister called me from UK. I spoke about the incident with me. I went to see my phone and I had 217 messages in that speculated time. So if you really want to be effective in this modern day Ghana, I think technology and social media is the way to go. And he must even go and see with this black and red uniforms that we are talking about, the costumier that we are talking about. Now we are loading about 47% of the people who have attended to the stage to say, yes, we support these things. You should go there and check now our Facebook page and check very, very, very well. And she would realize that really things are happening. And this day modern world, you cannot do without technology. So we think that the way to go is, and the kind of people who are leading this crusade are quite intellectuals, that we have no option than to use the technological social media.
I'm going to take a break here. Then when I come back, you see, politicians have developed what I call shameless opportunism. I mean, whether you say it or not, I will still do it. What the minister misperforms, and then he gets transferred or sometimes even promoted. So then we're asking, with all these agitation, would they heed to, or would they sit back and say, let's give it 2 weeks, it's going to pass? Stay tuned. Hello, and we're looking at the effective of using social media to rally people up and champion a good cause, if I may say. And I'm talking to Ebosam, who's a member and also a citizen of Ghana, who agitated on the 1st of July against all the mismanagement in government. But joining us on the phone now is Dr. Godwin Agboka, who is assistant professor in technical communications in the University of Houston. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Doctor, we are looking at using social media to rally people up to champion a cause. Is that the new wave? And would it work in our part of the world if you look at internet penetration?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on the program, first of all. And let me actually say that social media plays a huge role, irrespective of where people use it. I think that there have been several examples of that. Ideally, we can say that in our part of the world, the use of internet is not as it is in other areas of the world, such as in the U.S. or probably in some European countries. But then, if you look at the case of Egypt, for example, if you look at the entire coverage or the use of internet in the country, as of the time they had the Arab Spring issue in 2011, only 26% or thereabout actually had internet access at the time.
Okay.
But then, as of the time the actual sort of organization was carried out or was done, mainly over about 90,000 people had already, signed up on Facebook to take part in the protest movement. So, but then actually on the actual day when it took place, the number was actually much less than that. But the point is that it points to the fact that social media, irrespective of where it's used, can actually, play a huge role. And one example, or one case in point is, its specific role. Because if you look at, the advent of smartphones and other technologies that people use, all these actually give people access to be part of, the democratic process. Because ideally or usually, people who wouldn't have been able to take part in the democratic governance of their countries are able to do that. Because hitherto, it might take people who would be able to actually publish or write something and, to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But then today, what happens is that, someone actually can just get up, post anything, as long as it's readable and makes sense to people, it can play some kind of a role in galvanizing people to, engage in some of these protests. So I think that, in some sense, it will or it can work in our part of the world.
Doc, I don't know, but let me just try with this. You see, we are so polarized to the extent that, if I am a pro-government, presenter or media man or citizen, I don't want to complain about the ills in the society now because I feel I'm embarrassing my own party. Can social media still overcome it, or are we still going to have the same challenge where, well, those who are pro-government are quite silent and complain in the room and won't come out on the streets to, jump up and down? I don't know if I can ask you that.
It's an interesting question because I've actually observed, this trend, not only in Ghana, but I think, elsewhere. That is how, politics can actually mask our realities of life or some situations in society. I think that, unfortunately, we've been brought up in areas where we think that, as long as you are part of an institution and there's something wrong with it, of course, as you rightly said, you don't want to actually go out there and wash your dirty linen in public. So it only has to take people who are not part of the institution or the establishment to do that. And I think that for me, social media is only a reflection of the thinking processes of people. So, for example, if, as you rightly indicated, if people belong to government or an institution and they think that everything government does is actually right, irrespective of the likely or the potential harmful effect it might have on people, people will still go out there and defend it on social media. And then you have the group of other individuals who also actually oppose that, or opponents of that, to actually go out there and express some contrary views about that. So that is a reflection of what we think. So I think that in terms of social media dealing with that kind of polarization, I'm not sure, but it will only reflect what we do and think at a certain point in time. Let me give you one example, for example. If you look at the Ukrainian situation, you had the pro-European, group or the pro-EU group and then the pro-Russian group doing that. And those two individuals actually took divergent, positions. And social media really could not bridge the gap. What it only did was to fuel what those two groups of sort of people were thinking at the time. So I think that, social media can only do so much in projecting or reflecting
what the society actually
is on the ground and how people
Doc, Doc, please stay on there for me. I have a Bossam here who's, one of the organizers of the first July demonstration. They marched to the Flagstaff House just to hand a petition to the president, pointing out certain ills within government and saying, listen, Mr. President, you're naked, but your guys are not telling you, and therefore we are here to tell you. But you see, Doc has raised a very valid point where, yes, you can use social media, but eventually it will only reflect the society. And the society was what I was pointing out to you where, well, I'm pro-government, so I'm even embarrassed to say my lights are off because I'll be embarrassing my government, so I'd rather suffer. So how then do we, change the society through social media? Otherwise, it's just going to be a reflection online of who we are.
You see, the social media is a very good tool. And people who are even purported to be part of government or in bed with government will be able to use that channel to express their frustration. But the point is that at the end of the day, social media would bring it to a certain periphery. And then action would take on from there. I believe that the Wednesday after the Tuesday demonstration, Daily Graphic captured in its front page that the president says that he's going to listen. The social media generated the issues. People who think that it is time to go out for action came, and the president was forced to act and said that he is listening.
Okay.
And for that matter, we have sent a petition to him. We are looking forward to see that if the president really is listening.
There's a letter online saying is it an actual one where the chief of staff saying that the president has seen the letter?
Yes, but we are saying that he said he's going to listen, and we had about 20 points, and we want action to be taken on them. So we are watching to really see. But in any case, when the president says something, do we as citizens, are we taking the president's word as he says them? Because there are a lot of things that His Excellency President John Mahama had said out there that we have not seen signs. One, the 200 schools that he said that every year he's going to do 50 out of the 200. He is almost doing 2 years. Not a single one have I cited, or the NDC communicators or the information minister has been able to bring to our attention in pictures or whatsoever that this has been done. We have not seen that. The years are going by speedily. We heard that the president says that, look, we are going to take our salaries, 10% cut off of our salaries, Article 71 holders, to do cheap compound houses. And at a point on another platform when I stated, an NDC MP told me that they are really going to do renovation of them. Whatever it is, can we be shown one of them that has happened? When this Dumsor issue came up, the president on a number of platforms said that we are going to avert the problem in April, in June, in August. Now, the technocrats are saying that they don't even know because there are lack of money. Statutory payment have not been done. Nothing is going on in the country. So if you say you are listening, we are looking at it. I am saying that the next time we are going to hit the street again, very soon, when we think and see that nothing has been done and there is nothing going on in the country, we are hitting the street.
Okay, two things before I bring Doc in. Two things. Number one, aren't you going to reduce your request? So at least, because he's got, 2 years before he gets out of office. You've given him 20, can you bring it down to maybe 5 or 4?
I don't understand you, Nana. I don't understand the issues that you are raising on this table this evening. Look, the president said in his manifesto that he is putting up a better Ghana. And if it is a better Ghana, better is better. You don't do some and say that you are doing some and leaving some. We must, as Ghanaians, as taxpayers, as citizens, right owners of this country, must enjoy.
As citizens, we should also be a bit realistic, realize that, look, this guy is just doing political talk, as they always have done, give political talk. There's never a political leader who's achieved 100% of what they said. And we, by all means, need him to work. So with the time left, can we say that, listen, forget about everything, just give us roads, we will extend the country, or give us energy, we will build industry. Forget about all these, tampons and whatever it is that you're dishing out. Just focus on energy. We will do the rest. So at least he knows that, okay, look, I just have one mandate, which will go to help the country.
In any case, if that is so, then we don't need a president, because everybody at all can be given only one role to perform, and everybody will perform. As a leader and as a chief executive of the nation, the welfare of your people is your prerogative. And we are saying that in the petition that we sent to the presidency and to the president in that matter, we said that the list of items that we've given, it is in an order of preference, priority, which we said that the erratic power supply is one of the problems. Let me tell you, late last week, CHAG, that is the Catholic missions, they said that they are withdrawing their services. When you come with national health insurance, they will not look at you. And you know the population that this charge takes on the national insurance population, they do 42%. If you go to Bono Ahafo region, all the Bono Ahafo region and some part of almost the northern region and some part of the Volta region, all the hospitals there are Catholic hospitals. And you know the effect when these people are withdrawing their services? It means that, you see, you cannot come here, Nana, this evening when you are sick. So that if the president cannot pay, the taxes are collected, the 2.5% or whatsoever that is taken from SNIT are being deducted. All the taxes that has to go to the health insurance have been collected. So somebody says, Nesikano, where is the money? The money that you have collected, just go and pay them. You are not paying, Mr. President, and people are withdrawing their services. And you are still ruling us. People are getting ill, they cannot get treatment as citizens who have paid their taxes. And you say we should give the president some limited things to go through. We have an enormous problem. Yes, we think that the president cannot do all in the 4 years. The former President Kufuor even asserted in his last remarks from government that he thinks that president must be given some time off. So we agree.
Let me bring Dr. Ine. Doc. Very good. You hear all what is this passionate speech, and why not? If you're a discerning citizen within any country, you should be concerned if these are, But you see, here we are, after this agitation or demonstration goes on, and one newspaper picks on, a couple of females and absolutely lambasts them on their front page. I, as a citizen and as a media man, get very concerned that, the media commission, nobody seems to be bothered that, a citizen who comes out to express her grievances to a president, that listen, electricity is not working, health is not working, and therefore, open your eyes a little bit, gets lambasted, and everybody's sitting down quiet. Now, you being in communication, I mean, what then happens? Who should react to this?
Let me say this. I think that in the media landscape in Ghana, for me, is enjoying some relative, freedom, which we should be very proud of. And if you look at, the trajectory of, the media history in the country, we've enjoyed that. But I think that, as you rightly know, some media organizations, usually that are very partisan, do take things a little bit too far, which is when I agree with you that some organizations or institutions that regulate media practice in the country should be able to kind of come in and arrest the situation. I mean, let me tell you, sometimes it's not just the media, to be honest with you. It's some government officials who do the same thing, trying to pick on various individuals just to be able to cripple them, just to get them to stop doing whatever agitation they are doing. Because, for example, if you look at this Occupy, Flagstaff movement, for example, that just took place. You mentioned a media organization that picked on an individual.
Yeah.
First of all, if you look at the track record of the media organization, obviously they are just being cynical.
Yeah.
And that media organization is obviously tied to a group of people or an organization, and that media organization is bent on doing that. For me, first of all, I don't think we should take those media organizations very seriously. Unfortunately, we have a media landscape in a country where the literacy rate is actually very low.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they churn out, the falsehood, and some individuals might actually think that those things are true.
Yeah.
But I believe, regulating media practice to some extent, because we have to be very careful in terms of doing that, because we might end up gagging the media again if we go there, because we've traveled very far, as far as our media practices are concerned. But I share the concern, because let me give you one example, not in the media.
Yeah.
During the Occupy, the protest that just went on, we had some government officials, reputable individuals, actually go out there on Twitter posting some very funny things about the movement. For example, we've talked about this, and I know Joy FM also carried that on its outlets and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Honorable Hannah Tete went on Twitter and made fun of the numbers that actually showed up on that day.
Yeah.
For me, the significance of the movement or the protest was very, very clear. First of all, you had a select group of individuals who actually knew what they're about, who went out there not only fighting for themselves, but fighting for other people who otherwise cannot speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Some of us who are very educated, we are very proud and privileged, and that is why we get educated, to be honest with you, so that we can fight for the vulnerable people in society who cannot rise up. Because those people, of course, were using smartphones and riding in Mercedes-Benz and all those other things. But at the end of the day, they can afford some meals. But I think that the statement they made over there wasn't just about the fact that they wanted more for themselves, but then the general situation in the country, which is obviously clear. And so for me, that is one problem we have as far as the partisan nature of things. Because we become so partisan that we are blinded to the realities. And then when government leaves power, those same individuals who were doing some of those things I described will go back and now look at things from a very objective, point of view. And that is the problem of politics we have in our country, trust me.
Doc, let me bring Ebu. Have your organization stood up or fought for, the ladies who were vilified, in the papers? I mean, are you suing the paper? Are you doing something?
I think that the convener of this idea is a lawyer, and he's not taking things lightly. I'm sure very soon issues will come up, and as a lawyer and as a convener of the group, and his organizer James would make sure that the right thing is done. So we believe we are doing something.
But has the media commission or media regulator, has anybody said anything, or is it just one of those things? I find it really below the belt.
Yes, it's really below the belt. A lot of people are complaining about. But like I indicated to you earlier, that paper that sought to vilify that woman, it's a pro-NDC paper. So for me, sometimes I think that that's how Ghanaians are. When people want to do things, like Alhaji Bature on Adom FM after the demonstration, stated on that platform that the demonstrators were being sponsored by Nana Addo. But if you go and ask Nana Kwesi, who is a convener of that demonstration, he will tell you that not even a peswa that he used to buy ice water was given to him. People came there on their own volition. So it is one of those antics of propaganda. The communication minister, Dr. Omane Boama, says that that day is it is just one of the nicest way of celebrating the holiday. And for me, I treated that statement as laughable. When people are really pouring their heart out, when a lot of things he knows that is not going well in the government, people are drawing the president's attention to it. People have even on other jurisdiction have called on the president to resign. I have never heard, as a student of politics from the Fourth Republic up to this time, I have never heard people so agitating for a president, a particular president, to resign as at this. So the issues are serious issues that must be, addressed. That you will not take these issues as just mere issues. In any case, what is going on in this country? People are just polytechnics.
Let me move to, I want to take a break, but when I come back, I want to move to Red Friday and what the significance is going to be for Red Friday. Stay tuned, we'll find out, and then see if you are going to wear red on Friday or not. Stay tuned. Will you wear red on a Friday to express certain things that you feel should be right and is not going right, i.e. doomso, i.e. your falling currency, bad roads, health, education, agriculture, name it, maybe even free sanitary pads to to citizens. Why should we wear red, and what's the significance?
You see, our leaders, to me, have lost focus in the mandate given to them. And in our country here, if we are mourning, our culture is that we wear red or black as our mourning cloth. I believe that the way this country has been positioned, the economy, we are more than mourning. So I agree with the organizers in whole when they suggest that, look, let's wear black or red to signify that we are mourning, we are serious, we want to press home the good governance effect. Till that right thing is done, people must come on board to wear red and black to signify that people are really in despair. People are really in the state of...
Would they listen, though? I mean, these politicians, I mean, they're different caliber. Let me give you an example. When we went to the Senche resort,
yes,
all these V8 four-wheel drives that came, from 8:15 in the morning till 2:15 that Kofi Kapito and myself started agitating, their engines were running with the air conditioners on because the so-called big men were in the meeting.
Yes.
I mean, what I'm saying, they've developed a thick skin. They don't care anymore. So they were there seeking economic forum, and their engines were running outside. Will they listen? Would they care?
You know, over the years, people have not done that, has not really put up valid points to press home their demands. Over the years, people have just poured on the street, yeah, and then we go and sleep. This street that we came to protest, we underlined or we underscored various pertinent issues of the nation. In any case, from January up to today, the city has fallen 27% plus. Even as to so that the government of Ghana, the Bank of Ghana instituted policies.
Sammy, let me bring Doc in and I'll come back to you. Doctor. Hello, Doc.
Yeah, hello.
Very good. Doc, I share my brother's sentiment in, wearing red and black to let our politicians know, which is also a form of communication in a way. But if you have studied our terrain, our politicians or our elders have developed what I call shameless opportunism. I mean, you can say it, print it, film it, and it will just come out the next morning and do it even worse. So what then do you do? Because obviously you can't resort to violence, which nobody would agree to. But what then do you do? What form of communication will such a person understand?
Let me say that I think that first of all, of course, the fact that government doesn't, based on our historical development, government doesn't do much or sometimes anything about these sort of agitations is that, the fact is that it doesn't mean it stops the groups or the organizations from protesting. I think that it's their democratic right to do that and to drum home their demands for a better, state of, affairs in the country. So I think that obviously is a right, and I think that any individual can do that, whether they listen or not. But let me say this. First of all, to be able to effect change, the organization needs to have a specific, focus and direction that will be able to get government to think actually smartly about what is happening. And that's why I think that for me, and I think Ebo mentioned an important component of what they're trying to do, a focused message with a vision that actually outlines a number of things that people need. That I read the 20 point thing that they put out there. I actually think that a number of the things are could be collapsed into one or two things. But they were all very important and very focused. And I think that will actually get government to work and to do something. But my only concern about what the group is doing is this. I mean, the last protest was just about a week or so ago, and then on Friday there's another one that is coming up and all that. First of all, the president I know has come out to say that, I'm going to listen, I will act on it. Of course, we have a precedent in the country where government comes out to say that I will do something about the situation, and it actually ends up not doing anything about that. The St. Kitts thing you mentioned is one example. But what has changed between when they organized the first demonstration of the protest and now? I think that obviously government might need time to go through all the 20 things that they put out there. So I think it's too soon for them to go out there again to do that and to wear red or black or whatever they are trying to describe. But it doesn't belittle the significance of the movement and what they are trying to do. I think that for me, based on what I know and I've observed in this country, this is the first organized movement that involves a specific target group. As far as I'm talking about the middle class, and the middle class actually. I looked at the constitution of the individuals, who were there. And let me tell you this, not every single, of course you can point to one or two people who lean towards the NPP, of course, based on conversations that we all have with people.
Yeah.
But I think that if you look at the people who showed up, I know people who are NDC, who are frustrated with the system. And obviously, they want to not just fight for themselves, as I said earlier, but then to fight for the entire system to get things working. Let me say this. One question that everyone needs to ask those who are saying that it is motivated by an NPP agenda is this. Even if all the people who showed up are NPP people, does it kind of take away from the fact that all the things that they were fighting for are happening or are not happening in the country? People are, this is the first time I know, to be honest with you, that this country has faced multiple problems at the same time. No water in some cases, no electricity, or some, sparing cases of electricity in some areas, and food prices going up, the dollar, and all these things are happening at the same time. That points to a very, problematic situation or trend in the country. So I think that a group can get up and do that with a focused message. They will be able to actually target government to do something, and which is why the president, I believe,
is listening to it. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Godwin Agbodza, Assistant Professor Technical Communications in University of Houston. But he supports you, but he thinks that you are probably, your second punch is coming in too quick.
No, not at all. You see, when you want to do things, you need to do it and do it right. In this country, we are so much, comfortable in putting up things and then we go and sleep and we leave them to have their way. The issues are there. And for me, I am thinking that the convener thinks that there must not be a break to the issues. People must press home their concerns and their need till they are done. Look, go to our homes, our children, and I know you know. And our children, if they need things from us, they would, my daughter would always be on me till I get it. Daddy this, daddy that, daddy this. That is
tomorrow.
how, today, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
They don't know anything. And that is how we should behave towards government. That we should press on government every day for them to do the right thing. In any case, the government is there to govern daily, not at a certain point and go and sleep and come back. So as much as Doctor is my friend, we've been speaking a lot. But on this particular one, I think that he should understand that once the vehicle has, the engine of the vehicle has, ignited, we should move till we get, we should put the momentum on till we get to the border.
Why should somebody who's in the NDC join this campaign?
Well, everybody is getting the heat of what is going on. Today, if you go to the market to buy X, somebody sent me a WhatsApp and said that, look, I went to the market, Ashama market, to buy X, and it was 70 pesos. If you, 1 CD. If you go to Ashama to go and buy, it is not only this middle class people or MPP people. Ashama, NDC people are more. That constituency is for NDC.
So they're all feeling
so everybody is feeling it. So you must come. Even the president himself must wear red and black to remind himself that the nation is not being governed well and there are problems with the country's economy.
Thank you very much. And on that note, just look within yourselves and see, well, do you really believe that everything is fine? If it's fine, well, what? If you think that things are not right and things could be changed and some of the things which are needless, then obviously join in the campaign with red and black. Folks, tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.